Hi, I'm Dr. Buck Weaver. I'm a psychologist and neuropsychologist and head of the Weaver Center in Wayland, Massachusetts. And I was having a fantastic conversation with Julia Nord and Scott Cummings, who have developed a wonderful presence for adults with dyslexia. And it's called Dyslexia Together. And so I hope that as other people have interactions with them, that they will also provide their stories as a resource on having all of us who have had severe dyslexia be able to not only adjust to, and not only accept, but also learn how to thrive. And that's my main message in terms of my 30 years of experience professionally, but an additional 20 years of experience personally. First, I'm very fortunate. I am an old fellow, almost in the seventh decade. And I was so fortunate to be diagnosed in first grade because many, many people, especially adults, never had that opportunity to be diagnosed, even though the diagnosis was pretty severe in those days, like reading retardation or neurological disease or, several others, that even dyslexia. I couldn't understand what dyslexia was. Sounds like a disease to me. But anyway, my parents tried to make things better for me, and but feeling so different from anybody else. When kids were reading around in a circle, and it would come to me, and I'd have no idea where I was, what the word said. I never, ever, still to this day, have trouble with the alphabet and the letters and numbers. In fact, on almost every screen I have the alphabet listed so I can find things so I can sort them a little bit better. But I felt very different, very stupid, because in those days, how you did in school, and sometimes in these days, how you do in school is how smart you are. So I was failing miserably at school and not able to do what the other kids were doing, and often was in classes where they have those kids that couldn't master a skill sit in the back with a teaching aid or something to keep reviewing the alphabet, or I can remember the times table, and I was always the last person to leave the table or get the instruction that I needed. So it was very simple to see how, especially in retrospect, I or anyone would feel stupid or inadequate or be called lazy. And now, in all of my clinical work, one of the main things that I reinsure with families and kids and adults with dyslexia, how you do in school is not how smart you are. School doesn't tell you how creative, how motivated, how you problem solve, how you use your strengths. And usually, when there's such an emphasis on reading, writing, and spelling in the younger years, of course you come out feeling like I'm not going to be successful in life, because school is life for you at that time. But it's really important to realize that that doesn't stay true. The more that you learn about your strengths and the more you persist, then the more successful you're going to be. Because school doesn't emphasize intellect or intuition or creativity or other ways to solve problems. People with dyslexia have wonderful ways of solving problems once they get to an age and a place where those problem-solving abilities are really appreciated. So what I always say is that, yes, it's very, very difficult to learn about dyslexia. It's important as part of the learning that you realize that this is a genetic problem, so that none of this is your fault, but it's all of our responsibility to do the best we can, no matter what our handicaps or difficulties are. And to realize that the emotions that go along with this, of course, are going to be intense and severe. And so that anyone that has this difficulties, there's a few things that we all need to do, in my opinion, to be successful. Number one, you go from accepting to really appreciating dyslexia. I am thankful for dyslexia. And I tell people anytime they want to hear about it, that I have severe problems with dyslexia, and I follow it quite shortly by I had to do things in a very different way. I could not be a standard student or a standard friend or family member. I was not going to be standard. But what I did do is I really understood my verbal abilities, my abilities to negotiate and tell people, listen, I'm willing to pass this course or this practicum. I may need some help. I often have peers and other people. I have to ask for people to read to me or people to dictate for me. The only way I could learn is in group studies with other people that were in the same thing that could convey information auditorily because I just couldn't get it from reading. And even when people were reading to me, it was very, very difficult for me to pay attention for a long period of time. Letters are very, very tiring for people with dyslexia. So it's very understandable that you're tired and frustrated and nervous and angry and even depressed. So my advice is to start listing what you're strong about. I love doing strengths inventories, and for anyone that wants one, I have the structure for that. Because the more you understand and know what your strengths are, and the more you know how those work, the more you can apply them to be unique in the way to get to where you belong. And when you get to the place where you belong, you're going to feel unbelievable that life could never be like this, because now I look forward to my high interest activities. I get other people to help me in areas that I have problems in, and I feel like I'm sailing right now. So that's the best story that anyone that feels a little ashamed or a little concerned about having dyslexia is to just say, with dyslexia, look at where I am right now. I'm kind of proud of it. In fact, I've learned some problem-solving skills that I'm sure I wouldn't have learned otherwise, so that I can be successful with having dyslexia. In my case, also having attention deficit. And I've known these things for a long time, and I finally adjusted, but I know that you can too. I'd be very happy to answer any other questions that you have. You can, of course, go to my website at www.weavercenter.org and see the kinds of things that we've been doing for 30 years to help people with dyslexia and other types of learning disabilities. Well, thank you so much, Julia and Scott, for the work that you're doing, and I hope everybody will visit and contribute to your website. Thank you very much for asking me to do this.